So much stuff has happened since we've been on. Fantasmic has opened at Disneyland. Radiator Springs was closed at Disneyland. And we've got Guardians of the Galaxy is up and running, sorta. We'll talk about it all tonight on ParksCenter. Welcome to ParksCenter for June 5th, 2022. I'm your host, Rob Whiteside. Thank you guys so much for being here. And if you are here, please give us a thumbs up. It helps people to find the show. We want a lot of that. If you haven't subscribed already to WDWNT, do that. We've got lots of great content. And, of course, chat with us in the chat. We are live. Super chat if you feel it. If you feel it's necessary. We would love that. Here tonight is your panel. We have Kamila Sanders. How are you?
Hi. Happy Sunday.
Happy Sunday to you. And Rob Bazemore, how are you?
Outstanding. Happy Sunday, everyone.
And Emma Cooley.
Yeah, come and see Mako, everyone.
Uh-oh. Okay. So tonight we are going to be talking about just Disney news. We've got a lot of stuff to catch up on. Last weekend was huge. So many things happened. I don't know if you guys heard about Celebration. Maybe you guys heard about that. Maybe you heard I went. I don't know. I just have heard people are talking about that. So we're going to start with news from around the parks tonight. And first off, we're going to talk about Star Wars stuff because so many things came out of the Star Wars announcements at Star Wars Celebration. So it wasn't just the shows, the Disney Plus shows that were announced. The movies, all of that kind of stuff. There were so many parks announcements, and so a couple of them that I've found fascinating were that one of them is that they're going to have these AR lenses. They're free until June 7th, and then you have to get that darn Genie Plus. So I don't know if that's me. It seems more like this Rob. He would be more the kind of guy that would get into that kind of thing, but. There was more than just the AR lenses. There was some more announcements about the Batuu bounty hunters, but not really. Like, they didn't really give away anything. I went to one of the panels where Scott Trowbridge was. Tony Baxter was there for like a hot minute, which I was so excited about. And then he was like, I got to go to another panel that you guys aren't in. And then he left. But it was neat to see him on stage. But they talked about Batuu bounty hunters a little bit, that just it's something coming to the parks. We already knew it was coming, and it's going to be working with my Magic Band, or the Magic Band Plus system. But they actually went in and put some stuff in the park. So you can see now some of this actually exists in the parks. You can see the little place where you tap that has the bounty hunter symbol on it. And part of it was, okay, you may like do some infrared around this door and see like, your bounty is behind it, which is kind of cool, but it's all done on your phone. I don't know, Rob, have you ever done any of the Disney Play app stuff, and are you a fan? Have you ever tried scanning all the crates in Galaxy's Edge, and how do you feel about all that?
I haven't, but it's not that it's an exciting thing. I definitely can see a lot of my, my children or even some of my friends who don't go to the parks as regularly use it. For me, it takes away from the amount of time that I have doing the actual things that I want to do. So I just haven't spent much time doing the gamification of the parks.
Okay. Well, you're missing out, buddy. You're missing out. Emma, have you ever used any of that stuff?
Yeah, I played around with it, because I wanted to know how it interacted with the Play app and everything. And honestly, the one thing that was a letdown with it is that it doesn't keep track of your reputation. And the one thing that makes me excited about this new bounty hunter game, especially, yes, you're going to have to buy a new Magic Band, I think, to use it if you want the full experience, the Magic Band Plus. But hopefully, because this means it's going to be tied back to your account, it'll actually keep track of your reputation, which means you don't actually have to do the paywall that is the Starcruiser to have that experience.
No, you still do. You should still definitely do that. I want to do that. But I do think...
I do too. But...
Yeah, I do think that was one of the things. I know that Jason on Pressing Issues at one point was talking about how, like, in Star Wars, you want to use a lightsaber and not scan crates. And then, just like in you know, in Universal, where you go to Harry Potter and you use the wands and do the spells. The problem that I have is that it goes back to that thing where, like, if you can't afford a wand or you don't know about the wands, then you're kind of left out. Whereas if it's something you can do with your existing materials, your phone, whatever, then it's something that everybody can do, and I'm kind of a fan of that when it comes to Disney stuff. Not to say that I don't do paywall stuff, because I do dessert parties and all that kind of stuff, but I mean, I would like to stand on that soapbox for just a second and say there should be something for everybody that you don't have to pay for and you can still experience it. But anyway, speaking of the Starcruiser, another thing that they announced is there's a book coming out, The Princess and the Scoundrel, which is going to be Han Solo and Leia, and it's going to talk about how they had their honeymoon on the Galactic Starcruiser, or the Halcyon. And so they're actually doing a contest where you can win a honeymoon aboard the Starcruiser. So if everybody would just put my name in when you register, that would be fantastic, because I would love to get on the Starcruiser. That's going to be fun. But here's the thing I was most excited about that they announced, and I don't know why. But I was excited that the fact that they're going to bring more characters from outside the timeline into Galaxy's Edge, and they did that. They announced it on, I want to say, Friday, and then on Saturday they were already in the parks. So Boba Fett and Fennec Shan in the park. My son and I walked around, and he was like, my daimyo? Like, he was like, I mean, a grown man, he's not a kid, and he was just like looking for Boba Fett, and we did find him, but he was like over top of, like, you know, the buildings when you would walk into that third entrance in Disneyland. So it was really neat that they brought this in, but it raises interesting questions about the fact that now you're going to have, you've opened it up, and it is sort of a nondescript time in Star Wars when you look at Black Spire Outpost, but these characters aren't allowed to interact with Rey and Kylo and First Order troopers and things like that. With them opening this up, I mean, raise your hand if you're a little bit of a Star Wars geek, so I know I'm throwing this to the right person. There we go. All right, I'm going to start with Emma on this one. Who are you looking to see come into the parks after we get Fennec Shan and maybe Grogu and Mandalorian in?
Okay, I mean, here's the thing that bothers me about this whole thing.
Uh-oh.
It's awesome to see that new characters are coming. That's great. That's awesome for entertainment. That's awesome to see them adding new things to the parks. The thing that bothers me is that we've already set a timeline, and for me, especially as a storyteller, like, the storyline kind of comes first. So to me, it should have to fit into what's already been set. That being said, my hope is that because they broke it now, that they can bring Darth Vader, maybe have Han and Leia in there as well, and maybe get rid of Launch Bay. Since they broke the timeline of Galaxy's Edge, they can now have all those Star Wars meet and greets there instead of in Launch Bay, which they could use for something else. Because to me, that, especially in Hollywood studios, that doesn't make sense to exist anymore. So that's the thing. I'm hoping for some original trilogy stuff. Like, let's get some Luke Skywalker, Han and Leia in there, now that the timeline is not a thing.
Yeah. No, I agree with you, except for the first part. You were wrong on that one, but Rob will tell you why. Hang on.
Yeah, I definitely would also like to see the original, right? We could see Luke and Leia and Han Solo there. I think that would be super exciting. And even a step further out, I'd love to see Obi-Wan there. But anyway, that's where everyone's love and passion is for the early Star Wars. I'm really surprised that they did it. To me, it's kind of admitting that the new trilogy isn't the direction that the fans want to see. But I'm glad that they're relenting and giving us what we want.
No, I mean, again, I think it could have gone either way. They could have gone sunk either way. If they had gone full, like, old school trilogy, people would be like, well, now you've pigeonholed yourself into a timeline that is, 3 movies ago. Why would you do that? And, but then maybe they would have loved it. Maybe we would have loved it. I'm okay with furthering the story. What I love about Avengers Campus is that when I go, I can see the latest characters the day after the shows are running. I was looking for Moon Knight. I didn't see him, but I mean, they brought in other characters as Doctor Strange comes in. I love that they're finally doing that here with something that seems like it should have been so easy to do, but then still respecting the timeline and the fact that they go, okay, Rey, you're going to go ahead and take your 5 now because we're going to bring out Fennec Shan and she's going to walk around, and then when you see her leave, and Disney does that. I mean, I don't know if you've ever seen Fantasmic. We'll talk about it later. I know you have. I'm just kidding. But in that, they're so good about Mickey and not being in the same place, and like he disappears from one place and he shows up in the next in a different costume. It's so well done. I think they can do this. But pretty cool said, I want to see some folks toting a Jabba or a hut around. And I'm like, that would be pretty cool to see,
That would be sick.
Bring the twins. Let's do it. I think that it's really cool, the idea that they might have them in the land. The only problem that I have is that when you're looking at these characters and you want to meet them, when you go into Star Wars Launch Bay, you have an experience with Chewbacca. Mm-hmm. Here, you gotta chase him down and, hey Chewie, hey Chewie, hey Chewie, mm-hmm. and you may get a picture or you may not, or you may get him in the background because he's always moving, because that's what they have to do in Galaxy's Edge, is being part of your story. And so while I get that, I really wish there were more opportunities for you to have that one-on-one meet and greet experience with the character. So I don't hate that Launch Bay exists for that reason. I hate that Launch Bay exists because it's taking up prime real estate that should be something else.
Hey Rob, did they mention it coming to Florida, or is it looking like it's just going to stay in California?
I did not hear them say that if and when it was coming to Florida. It was just like Scott was like, "Hey, starting tomorrow, you're going to see this." So I can't wait to see it. I like the new look Boba Fett. I think it's very cool. And after seeing the series and then seeing him in the park, it made a bigger difference to me. Even though I'm a huge Boba Fett fan, and I think we've talked about that on the Boba Fett Deep in the Plus. I'm a huge fan, but I love seeing this version of him. And it was just, I thought it was really cool to be able to see him. I didn't see Fennec, but man, if the Grogu animatronic that they put together is anything like the one they had at Celebration, I want to have my picture taken with that little dude. Let me sidetrack to something that wasn't really announced at Star Wars Celebration, but came out on May 31st. Them talking about is this cold brew. I'm not a huge cold brew person, but here's the problem that I have with this is it's got Cocoa Puffs on the top of it, which seems very
heck yeah, it does
basic. And then this is how it actually looks. Okay, wait a minute. Let's see this. Image 1. Image 2. It's like when you pull a McDonald's hamburger out of the bottom of a Happy Meal box, and you're like, this doesn't look like it's supposed to on the thing. I looked at it. I was flipping through our website. Maybe you've seen it, wdwnt.com. You should check it out. But I was flipping through, and I see Cocoa Puffs on top of a drink, and I stop, and I'm like, what are we doing? What is happening? And in Star Wars, that seemed a little weird to me. But anyway. It's a thing. So they also announced a lot of merch, and we're going to continue. We're going to go extra innings on this one, but they also announced a lot of merch, including the Camtono locking storage container, which I feel like I need one, but also what would I do with it?
Right?
Yeah, so it's $50, which I'm like, oh, that's not such a bad price for that. And then I'm like, wait a minute, though. It looks like an ice cream maker, and it would sit in the corner doing what in my house? And honestly, if I hadn't been on the left coast, I may have actually bought it, and if I didn't have to worry about how to get it home. So that may still happen the next time I'm down in Florida, but that was a neat, it was neat that came out, things like that are actually starting to be real. But when they were talking about the Disney Wish, they were talking about actually the idea of serving drinks in one on the Disney Wish in the Hyperspace Lounge, so that it would open up and have the steam come out and the whole thing. So it's neat that this exists. Basically, I think that it got its origins. People saw it in Mandalorian, but it's got its origins back in Empire. There was one in Bespin, the guy grabbed and had it under his arm. So stuff like that is going to kill my wallet. But also Legacy lightsabers. I'm glad I don't have a Legacy lightsaber problem, because boy howdy did they come to play with Legacy lightsabers. Qui-Gon Jinn Legacy lightsaber is going to be available at Doc Ondar. They're letting you pick the next the next lightsaber that they're going to do. And then they released this rechargeable Darth Sidious Legacy lightsaber hilt. And I saw people walking around Black Spire with these huge boxes with the Ahsoka Tano lightsabers in them. Again, I'm going to go ahead and pass on Kamila for this one, but like, Rob, you must have made one at Savi's, but do you have more than one?
I did. And I voted for Cypher DS for the next Legacy lightsaber that comes out. It looks pretty awesome. I will likely get one if they come to the parks. I think they're just looking for ways to bring people back and buy more and more and get more ingrained with the Star Wars ecosystem, for lack of better terms. I think you'll see they've seen new costumes, new cosplay materials coming out. It took a long time before they began to really refresh the merch and Black Spire Outpost, and it seems like they're doing it hardcore now.
Well, I did hear that there was pandemic. Am I pronouncing that correctly? That probably caused that problem. And then for our good friend Desi, just if she doesn't have it already, Ben Solo's Legacy lightsaber is to retire soon from Doc Ondar's. So as new things come in, old things have to go, and clearly no one cares about Ben Solo. So therefore, let's give it a couple minutes and see if she shows up in chat. Anyway, so then the other thing they talked about with the lightsabers, and I love the Savi's is actually getting new parts as well. So that's another thing that they talked about. That's pretty exciting that Savi's will have more options. So that, again, it makes it so you may want to go back and, I don't know, build another. Speaking of going back again and again, there was again, the same panel that I saw with the Imagineers, where Scott Trowbridge, they were talking about Star Tours. It was basically the history of George Lucas and Star Wars in the Disney parks, and they were talking about Star Tours, and then he turned to one of the other Imagineers and said, "Are we done?" And he goes, "We're not done yet," and everybody went, "Oh!" But I mean, that's it. There's no timeline. All we know is that there's going to be new destinations coming to Star Tours. The adventures continue, which is something that they can do at any time, and they were doing it during the trilogies, and then they just kind of stopped. And I just thought, well, you're already filming. You I mean, how much does it cost to do one of those versus how much it would increase and continue the interest in the attraction? And everybody thought it was going to be gone after, after Star Wars Galaxy's Edge came. And the fact that they can keep it relevant and that they would keep it relevant is great. I just think we're about 2 years late on getting a Mandalorian scene thrown in there. I mean, that's just a thought.
It's coming.
Well, and you've got Ahsoka and Andor and all these other shows that are coming. They should be putting more scenes in there, I think. One last thing, because I know we're way extra innings on Star Wars, but of course I have a problem, is we don't usually talk about merch, but this merch that they've previewed for the droids has got my name all over it. And then they showed this, which is the Ahsoka Tano droid. And again, all you're doing is you're painting R2-D2 and you're making me buy it again and again. That's all you're doing. I love that series, though, because I think it's unique. Like, it makes it so I don't buy all the droids. I just buy the ones that are Halloween and Christmas usually. So I bought this one at D23. So this one is R5D23. Get it? Cute. And then here's one of like one that is a Halloween one. And then, of course, for 50th of Disney World, I had to get the that one, which is R2W50. And again, they just paint them a different color. It's basically R2-D2, and then they put them in a package and say, "Here, Rob, pay this for this." And I go, "Okay."
Brilliant.
Yeah, they got it. So let's move on, though. Let's talk about Pride Month, because I think that in general, a lot of people have gotten the feeling that corporations are throwing rainbows on things to just make a buck, to just cater. And I think in the past, Disney has been apprehensive about diving in too deep on the whole Pride thing. And I think that the Don't Say Gay bill, and again, this could be controversial, obviously, but that the Don't Say Gay bill made it so that the company finally had to go, wait a minute, what do you need? How do we make this right? And I feel like that's kind of what they've done here. So they've got a ton of stuff, more so than I've ever seen for Pride Month. So they've got the mobile ticket designs, which again, you normally wouldn't see that. Cupcakes and waffles. By the way, that looks really delicious. And mini ears and Stitch and Andy's in the mix here. And you've got another cupcake, and you've got some of the third-party vendors are getting involved with it. There's a key lime pie. Here's some other stuff. There's M&M's is getting involved, in Joffrey's, and then they've got the PhotoPass lenses and the Magic Mobile ticket designs, and then they've got this pack at Gideon's, and then in Disneyland Paris they've added rainbow flowers, and then there's this Marvel Magic Band, and then the purple wall has the progressive pride flag, not just the pride flag, but the progressive pride flag on it. And so my original thought was, okay, Disney is just trying to say, we're super sorry here. And I think that after reading through the article on the website, it seems like that they legitimately said, look, we know we screwed up. Let's put together a committee of people and say, what can we do better? And then they said, okay, here's what you need to do. But also, any money you make has to go to pride organizations as opposed to keeping the money. So
let's keep this going. That's my only thing. Let's do it for everyone, because I think there's so many great stories and there's so much history, and we're so good at always trying to water things down. But I just think it's life is so much fun and color.
Yep. No, absolutely. And when I go, there's so many of these that I look at and go, I want this. I want to eat this with my face. I want to take a picture for Instagram. I want to, support this cause. And it really is neat. But you're right. I mean, it should be everything, because there's so many things to celebrate. And it should be, celebrate everything. And it's for us as park goers, it gives us an opportunity to, to be a part of something new and different, and learn something new. I think that they do a great job of that in Disneyland, more so in Disney World, especially with all the Hispanic holidays that they have there. The Day of the Dead is celebrated
or
there,
even
King's Day.
Yeah. Or I was going to say even, what is it? The New Year's, Chinese New Year.
Chinese New Year.
They bring like that dragon out, and that's really. I've seen video. I've never seen it in person, but that's really cool.
Yeah, it makes me want to go and say, okay, let me go and of course spend money on much merch. But all right, Emma, I'll pass it to you next. Thoughts?
Yeah, I think this is a very wonderful, positive thing. And I think especially after that huge controversy and huge mess that they got in, that donating the proceeds is the right thing to do. They're really putting their money where their mouth is. They're truly supporting the LGBTQ plus community like they said they would. And I agree, 100% agree with Kamila. Let's extend this through, the other months of the year where we celebrate AAPI culture, Black History Month, Women's History Month. Disney is a place where people go to celebrate, and, we really should celebrate everyone. I think it's a wonderful thing. So.
Okay, Rob?
Yeah.
As a proud father of an LGBTQ daughter, I will tell you that 2 years ago, when we walked into Disneyland, into the shops, for the first time, to see this merchandise, just the excitement on my daughter's face to see, that Disney would make these great products to support her and her group of individuals, made her super happy. Of course, we spent a ridiculous amount of money on all the products that were there, but I'm glad to see that in the time. And the fact that early on, my initial thoughts were, to be pessimistic, was, hey, they're just using this to make some money.
Yep.
And to see them taking the profits and actually giving it to organizations that support the community, it was really, really exciting to see.
Yep, I think they've done the right thing. I need to go back. Jungle Cruiser gave us a $4.99 super chat, so thank you so much, Jungle Cruiser. Back when we were talking about Star Wars.
Thank you.
Boba and Fennec are not going to be in Florida. Saw Boba and DL Batu, and he was awesome. He was awesome, and I hope at some point that they decide to bring that, because although it would be interesting if at some point the timelines became more solid and Disneyland was one timeline and Disney World was another, because as I'm in Disneyland and Batu this time around, I was walking around going, if they dropped me in the middle of this place, how would I know the difference? The X-Wing is on this side instead of that side. There's a third exit, but other than that, it's not super different, and it would be neat if they started making some changes like that to make it a little different. So Jungle Cruiser, thank you so much for the super chat. We appreciate it very much. So let's go on to talk about Disney World. Let's talk about the water parks. I'm not a huge water park fan, Kamila. As like you're not a huge Star Wars fan. I'm not a huge water park fan. I respect the Disney water parks. I remember River Country, Disney's version of an old-fashioned swimming hole, and that was like a thing. And it was nicer than any water park I'd ever been to because it was Disney. And then, you know, here comes Typhoon Lagoon and then Blizzard Beach, and they're very nice, and I do like them when I go. My problem is that you're drawing me over to this other thing when I really want to be at the Magic Kingdom, or I want to be, but you know, but we go to the water parks, and there's a lot of cool stuff to see in them. But when they talk about you know, the water parks, the one thing that I always think is, can we do better? Can we expand them? Volcano Bay was built, and it is amazing. I haven't been to that one, but when I see it from the road, it looks pretty amazing. And then when they added the new attraction to Typhoon Lagoon a few years back, I was like, good. Like, this is like next generation that they should be doing for these. And so we have a rumor out there that Blizzard Beach is going to be getting a new attraction. So Imagineering files permit for possible new attraction. We already know that they've got they're doing a refurb right now of Blizzard Beach, so the idea of some kind of a new attraction would be very exciting here. But in conjunction with that, I want to talk about the fact that they have H2O Glow After Hours going on, and some of the stuff looks amazing, but this is where they get me. Anybody who watches the show knows that this is where they get me. When you go out and you put up a sipper or a popcorn bucket, you got me. And I'm like, how do I get to H2O Glow Nights? But
the refurbishment, I think, is important, because all the talk we do about things breaking down and, you know, the parks looking old, then, you know, that's why sometimes things have to close so that Disney has a chance to fix it. And, you know, refreshen everything and make it better. So I hope we get something really good from the end of this.
Very cool. Emma, are you a water parks fan?
Yeah, I like the water parks. I love me some Blizzard Beach. I think if I had to pick one of the two, I think that one's my favorite. That Typhoon Lagoon sipper, boy howdy, I would be suckered into that as well if I can make it to that event, not gonna lie. But yeah, I think it's important that they give some love to the water parks. I think the timing is kind of poor. Like, why you would be refurbishing something in the summer at a water park? Like, why couldn't you have done this back in January? I don't know. But then again, you know, with all the construction and stuff they have going on, like, I'm sure they're short-staffed and whatever excuse corporate wants to give us. But I'm glad the work is being done, just the timing of it is not so great.
Yeah. Rob, I'm going to let you pass on this one, and we're going to go talk about the WDW&T store. I mean, WDW&T store. That's Carousel Products. That's carouselproducts.com. That's a conversation for later. WDW store. Yeah, a WDW store, the Walt Disney World store that's happening, or that has happened and is open finally. I mean, we have seen two things about this. One is the fact that the park that is, you know, I'm weirded out by the fact that this is just really close to Disney Springs. Why wouldn't you just go to Disney Springs? I don't know, but anyway, we've got a tour of it on our website. It looks like basically the World of Disney store, just maybe a little bit smaller, or the airport, or, you know, any of those. But it also has
a little bit smaller.
Yeah, but it also has this really cool electronic billboard that you can see from iDrive. So I'm looking forward to seeing that. That looks really neat. I love billboards. Like, you know, when I'm traveling and I see the south of the border billboards, I still get excited. And then sometimes I also wonder, how do they still get away with this in 2022? But nobody else drives and passes the south of the border?
I do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Rob, why did they, I think we may have talked about this briefly on the last show, but why do we need a WDW store right outside the gates of Walt Disney World?
Well, it's not right outside the gates. It's a different part of Orlando. So I can imagine customers who typically, perhaps they wouldn't want to make the trek over to Disney Springs, or they aren't huge Disney fans. or aren't on that side of town as frequently, wanting to drop in there, right? So even if it's just a small overlap of the millions of people that come through, a percentage of that traffic is real revenue for Disney. It also very well could be a test store. Oftentimes, companies, when they're going to do new retail concepts, they'll build a test unit close to their corporate offices so they can review and make adjustments. This very well could be something they may look to scale outside of Orlando.
Yeah. Do we need one in Disneyland, Kamila? Like, I don't know, right outside. Like, I don't even know. Is at the John Wayne Airport, the SNA? There's not a Disney store there, right?
I don't think so. Not that I've ever seen. No, and I've flown in and out of there multiple times. I'll be honest. Like, I think more Disney stores around the country are great. I know we just closed a bunch of them down, but seeing the pictures, I thought that was a little sad. Like, it was just a little uninspired to me personally. I thought they were going to do a little more with it. They truly just wanted to, I think, sell some merch. Maybe Rob is on to something though with, the test store, but I still want to see something a little more jazzed up. I thought it was a little sad.
Yeah.
Yep. One quick note, I'd be interested in seeing how the DVC preview center works out, right? If they open these up in major markets, Chicago, New York, Seattle, letting more people get the experience of DVC, that might be a huge revenue generator.
Wouldn't it be great if they spread these across the country, and then they just they dropped the Walt part and just called it a Disney store? Wouldn't that be great? If they did that, that would be great. I do miss the Disney store.
Innovative.
Yeah, on most of the ones. Well, speaking of innovative, and we're going to talk a little bit about Guardians here, but the first thing I wanted to say is when I'm looking at this picture of the Walt Disney World store, and then I look at this picture from the Xandar Treasures of Xandar. Well, like they're very similar, I think. So apparently they're using Xandarian architecture to make these stores. That's just my guess. I don't know. It's a possibility. So as much as we've talked about Guardians of the Galaxy for like what seems like years, now it's open. It's actually open. We went through when's it opening to somebody spilled the beans about when it's opening to we have 950,000 previews and Rob doesn't get to go to any. And then also then we get to Guardians of the Galaxy opening day, which was May 27th. And now it's open. And now there are also all kinds of fun problems, which who saw that coming, right? I mean, really, who saw that coming? Apparently, it operated for a couple different days without the pre-show. I gotta assume the pre-show is a big deal because A, they're using the actual cast members, and B, it's the story. I mean, storytelling is what Disney does, and when you take out the pre-shows for Rise is still a good attraction, but it kind of just kills it. And so I can't imagine, and I had this happen with Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. It opened, I didn't get to go, then that whole pandemic thing happened, and then I went later, and I see Emma's shaking her head, so maybe she had the same experience. And then I went for the first time after COVID, and you walked right through the pre-show. You didn't get to see it. And a lot of people who were down there were like, the pre-show was the best part. It really kind of tied things together a little better. Sorry, I didn't get to do that. So like the first 4 times that I wrote it, and yes, I've written it more than 4 times, Tom Corliss, is that when I wrote it, it was the pre-show was kind of amazing after I saw it, and I was glad that they finally added it. And Emma, you had the same experience?
Yeah, that's the thing. The pre-show, especially if you have no iota of what the IP is super important. And I think that's, that's really important for this Guardians ride, right? Is that if you are not a Marvel fan or a Guardians fan and you know nothing about them, this pre-show sets you up for what the ride is going to be and gives you that story intro that you need. Because I think, having watched the POV, if you just hop on the ride, that's the thing. It's going to take you a bit to actually figure out what's going on. And that's how I felt about Runaway Railway as well. Like my first experience with that was without the pre-show, and the ride really doesn't make any sense, especially if you're in the fourth car, like I was for most of the times that I've been on that attraction. Yeah, you really need the pre-show to give you the concept of the thing and to actually make sense of it. And actually, I would say the same thing for Rise. Rise is great, but you really need the pre-show to actually give you the full story and that context.
Yeah. Real quick before we move on here, we have another super chat from Pretty Cool, $10. Thank you very much. Shout out to my husband, Steven, and all the real-life Space Force Guardians over here at Patrick SFB Cape Canaveral. So, yes, absolutely shout out.
Oh, nice.
And thank you for the super chat. We appreciate it. So back to pretend space travel. One of the things that I think we may have talked about before, but as people who I know are riding this, they're getting back to the whole idea of the motion sickness, and now they're adding, they've added the motion sickness bags as you're exiting the attraction, and so then I think that just makes people think about it more. Like, again, like, oh, should I feel sick? Yeah, I do feel sick. Now that I think, I'll take one of those bags. There are a lot of attractions and I think it needs to be a segment we do at some point about attractions you don't ride for whatever reason. But Mission Space is definitely one of those. If I ride Everest 3 times, it's one of those. Hagrid's twice will do it to me. Just you start to feel uneasy. At least even the strongest of stomachs do. So, has anybody on this panel ridden Guardians yet?
Mm-mm.
And is anybody on here afraid of the motion sickness?
No.
No. Okay. Yeah.
I have like a stomach of steel though.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, and again, I don't know if people who know you, Kamila, and know that you are, involved with Disney, love Disney, whether through the travel agency or just because they know you're a fan, if they've said to you, hey, have you heard about this? Did you hear it's making people sick? Has that come up?
Well, no, but the thing is, too, I mean, let's remember that at Epcot, there's tons of alcohol, there's tons of food, including sometimes some interesting creations where sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not that good. And so, if you've been walking around the World Showcase and then, you got the virtual queue, now it's time for you to go. I mean, what are you supposed to do? Just not eat or drink anything before you go on this ride? Probably, maybe that's preferable, but I just think, the reality is it seems like if so far people are getting sick, I mean, maybe over time they'll get more used to it, but it just seems like it's probably going to be something that continues, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Emma, you said you're a little bit concerned about riding it because of the motion sickness.
Yes, and here's why. So something happened to me when I hit quarter of a century, because I went to King's Dominion with some friends, and granted those rides are not very well maintained, so of course I got a little queasy. But it was after like the 6th or 7th roller coaster ride that I was like, okay, I can't do it. I need a break, like for a half hour or something. Now, granted, I feel like I also have a stomach of steel, so I could just be, a little paranoid, which is fine. But that's the thing, like, I can already tell that, like, my motion sense isn't what it used to be, so it does concern me a little. But I can still handle Mission Space Orange, so I think I'll be okay. But it's definitely something, with how dark it is and how the projections are, that how disorienting it is. That's kind of a concern.
Robbie B.
I'm not concerned about it, but I don't know, a good combination of tequila, Mexico, 100-degree weather, perhaps sushi in Japan. It just doesn't feel like a good combination for a ride that even has a small chance of upsetting someone's stomach.
Well, you shouldn't have to come up with a game plan for riding an attraction. I feel like you shouldn't have to go,
right.
All right, if I do my Dramamine 30 minutes beforehand and I don't have anything to eat, but I maybe eat something light and then I ride it and then I quickly then sit down for 3. You shouldn't have to. You shouldn't have to.
Maybe Genie Plus will recommend that you don't do certain things prior to the ride.
Well, you know what though, and again, going into extra innings on this, it certainly hasn't hurt the virtual queue. The afternoon virtual queue for this apparently within a minute was gone on the day of for Guardians, and apparently hasn't gotten any better. Also, you can see virtual queue Lightning Lane fill up within minutes of launch. So, I mean, I talked to somebody who went down there, and they actually skipped the idea of the virtual queue. They wanted to ride so badly, and instead fought for the paid Lightning Lane. And apparently that was gone within 3 minutes. So the ability to pay this $17 for a Lightning Lane, they're like, okay, I've already given up on the free one. I'm not going to make it. And then they're like, okay, I'm going to go for the paid. Meanwhile, Tommy C has ridden the thing 28 times. So it is very possible to be able to do it. But again, this is something that apparently not even the threat of being sick has made it so that people don't want to ride this, because they're just like, you know what, it may make me ill, but gosh darn it, I'm going to ride it at least once. So I don't know. Rob, how do you feel about virtual queue? Because I think that for this one in particular, I think that your virtual queue or your Lightning Lane paid, and there isn't a standby option at this point. How are you feeling about that?
The one thing I did wish they would do is I wish you could get access to the Lightning Lane before they actually did the virtual queue, because you don't have the opportunity to try to get, or actually the opposite. You don't have a chance to try to get a free queue before you do the Lightning Lane, and you can't do both of them at the same time, or you'll get neither one of them. So I did wish they would mix it up quite a bit. I was wondering, have you guys heard, are they making it all the way through the 1 p.m. queue? Or is there any bandwidth at the end of the night? Are they getting through all those loading groups by 7 or 8, or are they going up all the way until park close?
I have not heard, but I do know that when they do the extra hours for deluxe hotels on Mondays, you have to enter another virtual queue for that one. So there's a 6 o'clock, right? Yeah, exactly. So there is another virtual queue to do that. I mean, I assume that they probably get through everybody that they've indicated is going to ride it. I don't know. I've never not gotten a Rise boarding group, and that may have been something. Let me back up on that. If I got a boarding group, I've never been turned away. So
yeah, I will buy the Lightning Lane on my next trip, just to try to guarantee. Giving me 3 minutes to get it instead of 1 minute to get it. My first time there at the park, I will definitely pay for it.
Yeah. What were you going to say, Kamila?
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think it's a good question that Rob has, because for sure with Rise, they were not always making it through everyone. And I've had that happen before. I've also not gotten the virtual queue for Rise before. I think one of the big differences, and we talked about the pre-show having issues, but so far it seems like the ride at least is able to continue to run. It's not going down, for 3 hours at a time or throughout the day, which was happening to Rise, but it also happened to Hagrid's. And so, sometimes when we think about should there be a virtual queue, should there not, part of the equation is making sure you're not overloading the ride. And so I do think, as much as it sucks that there's not standby yet, the virtual allows them to control how many people they're trying to get on it, because we remember what an absolute nightmare Hagrid's became well after the 7-hour lines.
Yeah. Do you remember when you didn't actually have to queue up for an attraction when you would go to the park, like virtual queue for an attraction when you would go to a park? It would open up, you would go to that park, you would get in line, and you would ride that attraction. And maybe you had to wait 2 hours, or I think Frozen Ever After was maybe 4 or 5 hours its opening day and had some technical difficulties, but at least you didn't have to pay to get in, and you didn't have to wait, or you didn't have to try to get a virtual queue, because again, the fun of a vacation is really getting up at 6:50 in the morning and then sweating the fact that your entire enjoyment of that day rests on if you were able to fastest finger to get in there and do stuff. It's fantastic. I love that experience.
I can tell.
Thank goodness they have that. And then they throw park reservations in there too.
Yep.
Chef's kiss. It's so good. Here's another thing that they have is merchandise. I don't know if you're familiar with Disney and merchandise, but they do have a lot of merchandise. I love this shirt on the left because it looks like the original Epcot passport that they used to have, the square passport they had when they opened up in 1982. There's all kinds of fun merchandise that they've got available. There was opening day merchandise. Shout out to Jake who helped me get that magic band. You know, here's the shop that we talked about earlier, and then they even have the Joffrey's awesome drink, because when does Joffrey's not get in on the action with all that kind of stuff? So we've got all of the items listed on our website, so you can check it out, wdwnt.com, and see all of the offerings and how much they cost. And finally, one last thing I wanted to throw out was this ICANN robot that used to be in Tomorrowland.
That was cool.
Showing up.
That was cool.
Here. Yeah, I mean, again, I don't know why they thought to do that. Somebody was like, "Hey, remember that guy we had go around Tomorrowland for like, 18 days? Let's get him back and have him." And like, why not just go get Push the trash can, get him back in there? I mean, that would have been fun.
Please.
So, yeah, right.
Bring back Push.
Yeah. So, I mean, again, a lot of cool stuff with Guardians. I can't wait to ride it, and definitely if you are in the chat now after the show, please let us know in the comments if you've ridden it, what you thought, how it was. But I've been trying to stay spoiler free and at the same time share Disney Parks news. It's not easy. It's not easy at all.
It's not.
No.
It's not.
So we had a little bit of a controversy this week where Anika Nani Rose, the voice of Tiana, was like, "Hey, guess what, guys? Ryan and Kelly, I'm going to be the first one to tell you they're going to open up this new attraction in 2024." And then Disney was like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa!" She said, "What now?" And so, the original, and I saw this all over Instagram. Every blog was reporting that, Princess and the Frog Splash Mountain replacement will open in 2024. They've been super quiet about it. We've seen some concept art on it like this, and then Disney came back and went, "No, we're not gonna comment on that at this time." In the time since they announced this. Then they later announced the Jungle Cruise was getting changes, and then they changed 2 Jungle Cruises and opened them up in the same amount of time, and we still have no idea what's happening here. And I see you nodding your head, Kamila. I mean, do you like? I've been in the park where people are like, "Hey, that's going to be Princess and the Frog," to their kid, and I'm thinking, your kid may be an adult by the time that happens.
No. I feel like that's been one of the jokes is, will it really be 2024? I don't know. We'll see what really happens. Tron certainly doesn't give anyone a lot of confidence. But I will say this, one of the things I think is really cool is Disney announced, I think it was maybe Friday, maybe it was Saturday, but they announced just in the past few days that they were going to be the official music sponsor of the Essence Music Festival, which is in New Orleans at the end of this month. So they just announced it. Who knows if that was kind of done in haste too, but it's a really big festival. Nicki Minaj will be there one of the nights. They always have a lot of jazz and music acts, but it's a really big festival. And for Disney to be partnering, I think what that means is they're probably going to be giving the first announcement at this event about this new attraction. So I think we may learn a lot more details about this at the end of this month. And I will just also say, I'm hoping that we are going to get kind of a more formal announcement at the Essence Festival at the end of this month. And if so, I think Disney is doing this really nicely because, we all know, some of the controversy around Brer Rabbit and Song of the South. This is going to be a mostly African-American audience. It's actually going to be an older audience. The Essence Festival tends to skew, I would say, more late 30s, early 40s, 50s kind of a thing. And these are people who are going to be very familiar with the story of Brer Rabbit, the oral tradition. It's a part of their history. And so I'm very curious to see if Disney will give us a formal announcement, what they will say. Will they talk about Splash Mountain to this group that very uniquely knows these characters and this story? And so I'm very excited to see what happens at the end of this month at the Essence Festival.
No, you're right. That is a great place to talk about it, obviously. I'm looking at the lineup. New Edition, Nicki Minaj, Janet Jackson, Kevin Hart, The Roots. Yeah, this looks really cool. Mickey Guyton. I mean, it is a really neat lineup, and you're right.
Yeah.
In New Orleans, to this audience, What? Like, yeah. So,
Right?
so maybe they're just like, hey, this is the time we want to do that, and maybe the reason that Anika Nani Rose got so excited about it was that maybe she's going to be there for the big reveal. But somebody in chat said that the song "Almost There" is appropriate.
And they mention it in the tweet, in the tweet where they talk about we are going to be the exclusive sponsor for the Essence Festival. They say at the very end, we're almost there. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, are we going to get an announcement? And I'm so upset. There are still tickets available, but it's only the 4-day, like $430 one. And listen, I'm trying to pay for the Disney Wish at the end of in a couple of months. So I have to be good.
Yeah, I mean,
That's valid.
Yeah, I mean, again, Star Wars Celebration, not cheap.
Right.
So no, I get it. But yeah, I mean, we have radio stations in New Orleans, and this is a big deal. And so that you're right. Absolutely, this could be the time where they do it and really roll it up at the right time. Let's move on for the sake of time and show me the AP is what I call this, because now you're going to actually have to show your app to get your discounts according to this. So, already they're trying to get rid of like the hard passes that you have. And when I was in Disneyland this past weekend, it was, I mean, not this weekend, but the weekend before for Celebration, they had, they used to take your Magic Key from your phone and they would try to write the number down. Now they have to take a picture of the number so that then they can take it back and put it into the register, because most of the devices, they don't have devices to scan it at the table. I actually had, I think I've told this story 3 or 4 times, I actually had to, when we first got our Magic Keys, go into the kitchen at Goofy's Kitchen. He wasn't in the kitchen, by the way, and have them scan it at the register because they couldn't. That was the only way for them to do it. So, I love that now there's more that you're doing than just showing your card and then them just letting in, because maybe they'll continue to give us better discounts for that. Maybe when they can control that. But also, it seems unnecessary if you have a physical pass and your ID. So, Rob, have you had to deal with this at all in Disney World or Disneyland with the whole show them your app to get your discount?
I haven't actually. Honestly, I typically forget about the discounts when I go to Rings, when I go to buy products. So,
oh, that's right. Okay, let's ask somebody who's not filthy rich. No, I'm just kidding. No, go ahead. I'm just
I haven't happened to, but I can imagine how annoyed I would be, especially if I had to go back to Goofy's Kitchen and Goofy wasn't even in there.
Right? Yeah. Emma, you were nodding your head a little bit.
Yeah, so here's the problem that I have with the app. I looked today out of curiosity to see what my expiration date was, because I know I'm going to have to renew because they're not selling new passes again. And my expiration date is wrong. So, that's the thing. That we know the app has tons of issues. So, and I get it that they're trying to mitigate that, and because they don't have the expiration date printed on the back of the pass, and instead it's a year. But to me, I'm like, why should that matter, really? Because you are already paying X amount of money to have a pass to begin with. What's it gonna hurt to give somebody a little bit of a discount on something, even if it's still within the year that they had their pass but it expired already? So to me, it seems a little much. But, I mean, I get it. I do hope that we get better discounts because of it, Rob. That kind of gives me a little glimmer of a hope. But to me, it's just a whole hassle because we all know how Disney IT is. And, yeah, it's too much.
So here's an example, though. What if your phone dies? Because it does. That does
Right.
happen, right? Because you're using it all day for mobile orders and for everything else. And Jungle Cruiser said, love that when I use mobile order, it already takes the discount, which, yeah, you're right. It almost is an incentive to use mobile order. But I actually had an issue where I was going to pick up a mobile order and my phone was dead. And I was just like, how am I going to do this? I don't even know if it's ready yet. I assume they have my name somewhere, but so I had to stop and put in a fuel rod and try to at least get it up to 1% so that I could go, here, give me my food. So it is kind of annoying to do that, but I liked it when, I sound like an old man that says, "Oh, I like paper." I like it when you have your card. Like I enjoy having that and being able to show that, and maybe them, you slide it into the bill and they take it back and they scan it and they bring it back to you, as opposed to grabbing your device, in a living in COVID world. The less people that handle my phone, the better. So speaking of cards, they are now apparently, I haven't had this happen to me, but according to this rag we have, WDWNT.com, Disney World cast members are now required to ask guests if they will use their Disney Visa card at checkout. I don't have a huge problem with this, because again, I'm sure that Chase spends a lot of money with Disney, and this is the official card of Walt Disney World. I feel like I was probably asked at Universal when they were heavy into American Express, like, would you like to use your American Express card on this? They already ask you on the website, when you go in, like, it's almost like, hey, use your Disney Visa card or any other garbage you have, but we prefer you use your Disney Visa card. So Kamila, any issues with this happening?
Yeah, well, when you call Disney to make a payment, anytime you do that, they lead with, will you be using your Disney Visa card to make a payment today? And, 99% of the time it's like, no, I have a regular Visa. So, yeah, I'm not surprised to see this. I think, they probably are being pushed to find ways to increase those sales and get more people to use it. And, I'm not surprised to see the expansion.
Yeah. Rob?
No, I agree. I think sounds to me like it's probably a contractual obligation with Chase, right? They're spending a lot of money, and I'm sure one of the requirements Chase has is that they try to drive incremental card activations, and that's exactly what it sounds like to me.
Yeah, but what happens if I say, no, I don't have one? Then, do they have a spiel lined up and they said, well, we can get you signed on right now. Give us all your information. Yeah, I know there's a line of 20 people behind you because we're low on cast members and there's only one register open, but let me go ahead and do this for you right now. Or would they say, hey, we'll hold all your stuff here. I'm going to send you over to that Chase kiosk about 200 yards that way, and they'll go ahead and take it. What are they going to do? I guess it's branding, but what are they actually going to do?
It's about driving awareness more than anything else.
Okay. Yeah, that's fine. I'm going to go ahead and move on to the next one because I'm a little bit excited about the fact I may be the only fan of the Nemo show on this panel, but I loved going to see the Nemo show because it was indoors and cool. A lot of people were like, oh, man, this was my excellent time to go take a nap. And I'm like, oh. They maybe that's why they bring the performers into the audience. I don't know. So it's been announced that the Big Blue and Beyond will be opening on June 13th, which is exciting. I can't wait to see that. So there was a little TikTok video, showing what looks to be the same, the same Nemo we've always seen. Now, we've heard a lot about projections, and you can see some projections in the back that maybe there are a few less sets and maybe more projections in this one. But Emma, you said you're excited about this one, right? Or you like the original one?
Yeah, I like the original. I'm kind of sad that the original isn't there anymore. And as, as someone who has kind of seen this change to more projections being used in theater, period, I'm still a fan of actual practical sets rather than projections. I think, again, I feel like the same way with rides. I think if projections can be artfully used and it makes sense for the story and it enhances it, I'm all about it. Let's do it. But if it's something that can be done better with physical sets, which I think is how I'm going to feel when I see this in person eventually, you should do it with the physical sets. However, it's a good thing that there is another show, another People Eater in Animal Kingdom. Granted, it's not as long of one because the old show was 30 minutes and this one's going to be shorter, which isn't necessarily a bad thing if you have little kids. They only have a certain certain length of an attention span. But that's the thing. At least if they're going to do this big change, I hope it is more of a new show rather than just a cutting of the old one. However, I have this feeling that the latter is going to be true, and it's just going to be a shorter, condensed version of the show that we already had. But, again, I'm hoping that I'm wrong, and I'm hoping that with this projections in, with the new show title, that it is actually going to be something, that there will be new things that are fresh in it.
Well, you bring up a great point. Something that I was going to talk about tonight, and then I kind of skipped, was the fact that Triceratops Spin is actually closing on June 13th. Look at that timing. That is very...
Oh, my God.
It's very interesting that that's going to be closing on June
money.
13th for refurbishment. So, again, every time I hear refurbishment, I think y'all had those parks closed for how long?
Right.
But it's closing on the same day. Interesting when you talk about a people eater, and then maybe the need to push it up a little bit to get that done. But my original thought about talking about Triceratops is that's a sad little area. Dino Land right now is like you've got no idea what's coming to Primeval World's graveyard. I think the cool prizes, most of them are gone now because they brought in those prizes that were actually specific to the land. And then you've got this and now Triceratops. You might as well just close down that land for the whole land for refurbishment and then do something about it. So Kamila, did you ever go see this show? Fan?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's very exciting that it's coming back. I think it'll be something else to do in Animal Kingdom, and I always feel like that park needs more things. It's perfect timing because it's summertime and it's hot, and so people can, go check out the new show, but also, do it in a nice, relaxing, and cool way. So I think this is great news. I also do wonder, does Disney have a strategy of, like, have a day where you give them something and then you take something, because we saw that also with the June 8th, right? Like, we're going to take away the Genie Plus, the addition to add it to a package or a ticket purchase beforehand, but 2023 packages are coming out that same day. So maybe that's the new Disney strategy, is give them something and take something.
They know so much more than we give them credit for, don't they? This is absolutely the thing. Especially when something bad happens, they go, oh, look at this great thing over here that we just came up with that we had in our pocket that we weren't ready to show you until just right now. One other quick thing, moving on, just to touch on this, because trams have been ridiculous. I've talked about this 150 times, is that when the parks closed and then they reopened, they were like, people can walk, no big deal, we don't need trams, and they must have had some reason other than money, right, to not run trams, but they didn't have them at Disneyland, they didn't have them at Disney World, but they had them at Dollywood. I'm telling you, they had them at Dollywood, and they can do it there, but they can't do it at the happiest or most magical places on earth. Now we have it back at Disneyland, but that's just the one tram, like, because you go and they drop you off in downtown Disney and you go to whichever park you're going to go to, but now they're back at Animal Kingdom. So we had them at Magic Kingdom, now they're bringing them back to Animal Kingdom. I mean, that's kind of exciting. Rob, I mean, I'm sure you're a fan of that 5K that they've been running in the parking lot.
The thing about it is, I think that means the real reason is that the executives at Disney cared about our waistline.
Yes.
In a way that Dollywood execs did.
Yeah, no, you're right. Absolutely. So, when you go to Dollywood, they give you the trams, and then you eat cinnamon bread, and then, and the 25-pound apple pie. But here, they're just looking to make sure we stay healthy. You're right. But so ridiculous. They opened up these parks in July of 2020. It's we're approaching July of 2022, and 2 parks? Kamila, 2 parks? What's the holdup with the other 2 parks?
I have no idea, but I think it really just shows the brilliance of Dolly Parton, that she was able to get it done immediately, and Disney is still struggling with this. I don't know. I can't imagine. I mean, do the trams need refurbishing? I cannot imagine what it is. Is it like, gas prices are too high? I don't know.
Okay. Well, I will say, though, Dolly Parton for CEO then of the Disney company. Let's make it happen.
Let's make it happen.
All right. So let's move on to a different topic. Again, I was in California. One of my favorite attractions is Radiator Springs Racers, and it was on fire apparently.
Oh, no.
Before I got there, May 25th, like the day that I got there, we ran this story about how there was a possible ride fire, and you can see some smoke coming off of this. And they shut down the attraction, and then they came back and said, hey, this attraction is going to be down for the rest of the weekend. I'm like, perfect. That's the only time I'm here. Let's just close it the whole weekend so that I'm not tempted to go and, do it. So that's great. But it seems weird to me that it's one vehicle, because they're all individual vehicles. Like, why would that vehicle's fire or whatever the cause of that was then make it so that the entire thing, now maybe it's because of the ride system underneath was a problem, I don't know, but it was closed for a long time. They didn't really tell us why. They just said it was closed. As a matter of fact, when you would open the app, it would say, sorry, this experience is unavailable. And so then on June 3rd, it opened after a long closure with, again, seemingly no reason why for the closure. And I guess they don't have to give me a reason for the closure. Rob, why was it closed? If you could tell me, I mean, I won't tell anybody. Just tell me, why was it closed? He's petrified to say anything. I don't know. This is, again, one of my favorite attractions, and Emma, I don't know if you've ridden it before. Have you?
I haven't, but I will say I haven't been to Disneyland in 12 years, I think. Yeah, which was way before Cars Land was a thing. But I will say, if I was out there in your situation, Rob, that would make me upset as a guest, as someone who had not ridden it before. So that was unfortunate that it was closed, but I'm glad it's reopened. But my guess is that it had to be a ride system issue, because there's no way that it could be one ride vehicle and then have to close down the whole thing. So
yeah. Rosita said, I think Disney knows they have loyal fans like us, so they figure they can get away with it. Michael says, Disneyland, California, wildfires the ride. Yeah,
oh,
so
no!
I mean, we definitely want things to be safe, but I just think it's weird that they don't say why. Maybe that's just because they don't have to, and so they just
because it's unplanned downtime.
It's gone 101. It's gone 101. So I mean, I don't know what else to say about it other than the fact that I really love this attraction. I'm glad that it's back up and running. But it is devastating when you spend that kind of money and go to a place expecting to see that marquee attraction. And I feel like, and Kamila, before we move on, I'm going to ask you about this. I feel like Disneyland brings down more attractions for refurbishment at the same time than Disney World does, especially during, like, between January and June. I've seen it where, like, the castle was under, like, tarps, and the and Winnie the Pooh was closed, and like 5 or 6 attractions. And if this is your only time to go, that's got to be devastating.
Yeah, but I feel like at the same time, I feel like I kind of appreciate the refurbishments maybe to some extent, just because I feel like it just shows they're constantly working on that park. And I feel like actually the refurbishments, at least the recent ones, not the castle, that took a while, but they've been pretty quick about them. Like they did Buzz Lightyear, and honestly, that looks great. But that was a pretty quick one. And then even Pirates of the Caribbean, which I know like just reopened recently. I feel like that wasn't actually that long, but I will say this about the Cars Land. I feel like it was bad enough that the ride kind of all of a sudden went down, but then to put like the cornhole out there where people were like, they were trying to encourage people to play cornhole in front of the ride, that just felt like insult on top of injury, and I didn't like that.
Come on back here, and no, you can't get on here. Yeah, Pirates actually is going to be closed until June 30th. So while I was there, Pirates was closed, and then also Radiator Springs Racers was closed. So I don't know. I mean, again, it's going to happen. You're right. It's better to take care of these attractions, shut them down, fix them up, make sure they're right. But that park was closed for a full year plus. Like, let's say that they should be in there taking care of that stuff, especially when people like Rob Bazemore pay for magic keys And the Magic Key, we heard at one point that you couldn't renew your Magic Key. I believe you can renew your Magic Key, but at one point they stopped. The top 2 tiers were sold out, which I didn't know that was something that could be sold out, but apparently they were sold out. And obviously there was a class action suit, or the lawsuit against Disney about the Magic Keys. But I've talked about on this show, like, is this like foretelling of them getting rid of the AP program in general, and then what would that mean for us in Florida? I would hope that they wouldn't get rid of the AP program, because every theme park has an AP program, but theirs is the most expensive. That I've seen, the one in Disney World and the one in Disneyland are the most expensive ones I've seen, and people still want them and they still buy them. But now they've said all of them are sold out, not just the top 2, that all of them are sold out. And Rob, does this worry you? Are you like rushing to like try to get yours renewed?
No, but I did just I read the story, I did double check my renewal date just to make sure that hopefully I have some time to get it done. I would be pretty sad if that happened. One of the things I think about those of us who go to Disney frequently and those who are DVC members, just the notion of being able to, if a reservation comes up that's available, being able to just go and not have to think about the additional expense of buying tickets. It gives you a freedom that you just don't have when you have to buy tickets individually. So I think it would be a huge loss if the AP programs do go away.
Yeah, and I think, again, I worry, like, what would that mean for me as DVC member, and you as a new DVC member, is like if you couldn't have the annual pass. They've already taken away the DVC annual pass discount.
But I feel like if I'm Disney and I'm petty, and listen, I feel like Anaheim Disneyland is particularly petty in a lot of ways that don't often get reported, I think, as broadly. But I brought you back an annual pass program. Annual pass holders have done nothing but complain about it. And I say this as someone who used to own, I haven't gotten an annual pass after COVID, but before COVID, I had the pass where I could go to Disneyland and Disney World anytime. So I had the combined one. So I used to be an annual pass holder at the top tier. And I feel like now Disney is trying to navigate this post-pandemic world. They clearly I think, weren't sure what they were going to do about annual passes. They finally brought them back because people complained so much. They raised the prices. They took away a lot of the perks, and people still bought them in huge capacity. And then you sued them because they didn't work the way that you felt that they should. And so Disney is like, maybe I'll just get rid of them altogether. I mean, Disneyland is busy enough that I don't think they need it. And Disney fans have shown that they will buy tickets. So maybe they say, you know what, here's a pass. You can go 3 days a month. I mean, I feel like the Disneyland APs are really not on the solid footing that they think they are. And, you sued them. And I will say Disney does not love getting sued. And not that they should punish everyone, but I think the reality is that park is full. It is full. And they have to figure something out. And I don't think the AP program, even in its current form, is necessarily the answer. So I feel like it's back to the drawing board.
Yeah, no, I agree. So I love that you said that they're like petty. That's interesting, because I feel like we've always said wonderful things about the people at Disneyland versus Disney World. Rosita left again. Rosita, the queen of super chats. Thank you so much for your super chat, $20 super chat.
Aww.
I'm just enjoying the panel tonight and the peeps in the chat too. And then she said, Rob W., thanks for all you did to help me with my shirts. There was an issue with Carousel Products, which we always have great results with the vendor we use. And so anytime y'all have an issue, just, you can reach out to me and we'll figure out how to help you, because, again, they've been nothing but excellent. That's why we use them. The customer service is beyond, and they were able to help her out. But then she said, and Rob, WDW, and T Wishables. That's, I mean, again, I know that that someone made them for Boxin and that team, but we'll see. We'll see. But again, Rosita, thank you so much. We really appreciate you.
Thank you, Rosita.
Yeah. So again, like, Pretty Cool said in chat, like, if they get rid of AP, that's probably it for me. I've been enough. And like you said, Kamila, we pay it. We pony up. I would hate to see this program change any more than it already has, because I feel deflated with the way it's changed so far. The way that the Magic Key changed from when I had a Disneyland annual pass, which was only for 1 year, and it was a half a year actually, because it was right going into COVID, and I was like, okay, just if you have to extend it enough for me to get to Avengers Campus before before I'm done, because I'm not buying another one, because I live east, not west. And then when the Magic Keys opened up again, Rob Bazemore and I were on at the same time online, like in Slack, going, "Did you get yours? I'm trying to get mine," and all that stuff. So we both bought the Magic Key at the same time, and I think that because of that, his daughter wasn't able to go to college. But yeah, we'll figure that out. That may be Starcruiser. So when they messed it up like that and all these things disappeared, you can't buy Max Pass, it's not included anymore. You have to pay like individual prices. The DVC benefit went away at Disney World when they revamped that one. The photo pass for the top tier went away. Now that's an add-on. Some of those things that went away I was okay with, because I thought the Disneyland program was going away forever. And so when they came back with what they did, I was like, phew, at least it's coming back. It's not as good as it used to be. It definitely skews for them. I would just hate to see that go away. So we can talk about that all day, but I'm always worried for that. Let's talk about something good. Fantasmic is back. Fantasmic came back on the 28th, the same day, the same weekend as we had Cosmic Rewind in Florida. So I got to be there for that one. I mean, that wasn't my original intent. It was to be there for Celebration, but man, was that a busy weekend. There was another Star Wars night on the 27th that was sold out, and no, Kamila didn't go because you recommended, I think, not to. And then we had the grad night was going on, and it was the Star Wars Celebration and the opening of Fantasmic, and also Memorial Day weekend. It's like I just picked the perfect time to try to shoehorn my way into the happiest place on earth. But I did get a Hungry Bear dining package, which was very interesting. It's a cheaper way to get a dining package, so I was able to reserve some space and see the show. And it reminded me again just how amazing that show is, and also how bad our dragon is on the East Coast. We need a better dragon. Hashtag save the dragon. There needs to be a better dragon. I'm anxious to see the new scene that they've replaced Pocahontas with when we get the Fantasmic open up in Disney World. But also I admire that arena that they have there, because when you're standing around the rivers of America and it's just so crowded, it can be a little bit of a nightmare. So much so that as is apt to happen when you have a lot of people who've been waiting in all day and are tired, there was a fight.
Oh my God!
So there was a fight with the return of Fantasmic. So you can see here that they put a light on it so that you could see the main event. Shining the flashlight, so it's like, hey, here's where it is. Don't miss it.
Oh no.
But anyway, so there was a fight, and you hate to see that.
Rock'em Resort guests.
Ooh, you hate to see that. You hate to see that happen. But it's an amazing show, and so it really is worth fighting for.
No. No.
But here's better news, though, because this is a great story. So during another performance of it, Mickey fell down during the iconic scene. That's not the good part. I'm sorry. During an iconic scene with the with like where he holds his hands out and shoots sparks out of his fingers, and he got up just in time to do it, and the crowd went nuts. And it's such a cool thing to see. And we'll take a little bit of look at it. So he's down, he's up, he's trying to get up, and boom, like,
wow, good on that performer.
Just nails it.
Wow.
No, it's not a performer, it's Mickey Mouse. But he really, like that's the dedication this mouse has to entertainment for us. And again, it's just an amazing show. I would have said before I went in to see this again that I thought World of Color was my favorite current show, and Fantasmic, it just pulls at every heartstring. So, Kamilev, Fantasmic thoughts either about it reopening, or about the fight, or about Mickey's triumphant save of that.
I mean, I think the way that you did it is really the way to do it. If you really want to see Fantasmic, I think the dining package is really the best option, because that area just gets so tight and swarmed and busy. And at least for me, if I'm going to sit and watch something or stand and watch something, I need, to kind of not feel like I'm in a fishbowl. And so I feel like I understand how the fight could happen. I wish they could figure out a way to just make that viewing area a little larger, because it just becomes so busy. But yeah, other than that, I think it is really exciting that it's back. I'll be honest, I'm one of those people that unless I have something like a dessert package or a dining package, I'll skip something like that, and I'll use it for when other things are less busy. But I'm very excited because I know a lot of people love it.
Yeah. And what I was told was that the dining package for Hungry Bear was sold out for like a month. So it's $25 to $35 depending on when you go. Obviously, if you go on Saturday when it opens, you pay the $35. But they give you like a choice of like a main entree, and then the two sides are the same for everybody, and then they have a little s'more, and then you get a drink. So it's not horrible. I mean, it's park food prices, but it's not horrible. So. Anyway, I agree. And then Blue Bayou wasn't open at the time, and now Blue Bayou is open, and you can go and get that Blue Bayou dining package. So that's cool. And again, I know anytime we mention entertainment, our resident entertainer is very excited. So, I mean, you've seen Fantasmic before, right? I mean, it's pretty amazing.
Oh yeah, Fantasmic is wow. Professional liar. Thanks, Rob. Anyway,
I mean, tell me I'm wrong. I mean,
I will save that rant for the post show of why I think that's wrong. Anyway, but I appreciate the humor behind it. Anyway, I love Fantasmic. It is one of my favorite shows to see on both coasts. World of Color still takes like the top tier for me though. But anyway, I couldn't agree more about getting the dining package, and I think that's going to be true when it comes back to Florida. Like, if you really want to see that show, and especially with how long the lines are in studios, if you want to maximize your day, I think that makes sense. But yeah, I think it's great that show is back, and I can't wait for it to come back in Florida.
Yeah. Rob, are you a big Fantasmic fan? Do you think it's the best show, or do you think World of Color is the best show, or do you have?
Actually, I would give it to World of Color.
You would do World of Color?
World of Color, yeah. I think it's by far my favorite. But it's disturbing to me that we're continuing to see these fights in the parks. And I think a part of that is just, it's getting so crowded. Disney has to do something about the overcrowding of the parks, especially when things start to heat up and people's, patience become even lower. I'm afraid we're going to see more of these, and they're not just small fights anymore. Now we're seeing more and more, of the fights with multiple people or whole families. At first and second and third cousins getting involved in the fights. Again, they're going to have to do something, whether it's reduce the crowd capacity or, unfortunately, increase the amount of security in the parks.
Yeah. Well, I would have said World of Color going into it, but rewatching Fantasmic, I think it's Fantasmic. But again,
One question: what do you guys think would have happened to Mickey if he hadn't got up? Are those exposed? Are those
he would have caught on fire?
Wow! So that was not just go Mickey. That kept Mickey from getting burned.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, it's definitely a very scary thing, and I'm surprised that things like that don't happen more often. But I mean, every camera phone, every blogger was there the night that I was there. That's not this night, but and so that everyone is filming these things now, and if there are other things like that we see, it'll probably turn up on the internet.
Can you imagine poor Mickey screaming as he's being burned?
Dude, stop it! That's horrible. Why would you do that?
No. Traumatized children.
Yeah. Let me skip to this one because we're running low on time. This cast member at Disneyland Paris. This didn't happen here, and let's just watch a little bit of this situation that happened. A guy What? Sorry. So let me go back and try that again. A guy is getting down on one knee on the stage to propose. Everybody's going crazy. This cast member comes up, grabs the ring, and goes, no, come down here, come down here. This is much better. Come down here. Ruins the whole freaking thing. And apparently the dude had asked for permission beforehand, but he's like, this is better down here. Come here, come here. He's like, this is better. Now he's doing the great cast member thing where he's like, this is better. You should do it here. This is better. But he ruined the whole thing. Now maybe he didn't know and he was just doing his job, and that's fine. But you can't undo that moment. I mean, that's... Kamila, thoughts?
I mean, I feel like if people aren't supposed to be up there, then you need to have someone that's making sure they're not up there. And it seems like, because there's like 2 cast members, it looks like, in the video. So there's one that like comes running in, but there's another one that's like at the bottom of the stairs. And so I'm guessing that cast member maybe was the one who was like, yeah, sure, just do it quickly. And so it kind of just seems like a really unfortunate situation. But you know, you don't want anything bad to happen, and you certainly don't want people to think that this is a spot where I can, you know, go make a proposal. So it kind of just seems like a no-win situation, and it seems like whoever told them it was okay to go up there, that's really where the issue lies, because they might have been thinking, yeah, just do it quickly, and it just fell apart really quickly.
Yeah, I mean, Rob, I assume at some point you had some fancy proposal set up, and was it something this fancy?
The funny thing is, I actually did get engaged in Paris, right outside the Eiffel Tower, so not quite at Disney World, but actually in Paris. But the thing here and I read a few people who interviewed bystanders, and what really concerned me was some of the people who were there said that the cast member almost seemed like they were happy that they stopped it. And if that's the case, that's really something that is pretty terrible. I also read that Disney said they reached out to the couple and made it right. Hopefully, made it right means giving them a photographer and letting them propose and take pictures right in front of the castle. But they did say that they're going to make it right for the couple, which hopefully is a great thing.
I just can't imagine. Like, that's already a nerve-wracking thing. You spent all this time preparing. The guy went and he asked for permission, and he gets up there on the stage, and everybody's looking in awe, and this guy takes it upon himself. Why that moment? Like, why not? Why not? Like, I mean, again, I know he looked to me like he was really trying to do the right thing and still be a cast member and nice and accommodating, but like, no, it's better down here. It's better down here. But you got to read the room and know that that's a bad decision, right, Emma?
Yeah, like, why would you do that in the middle of a proposal? Like, at least, you know, if there was a problem, wait for the moment to be over and then talk to them afterwards. Like, there's no reason to do that in the middle of it. Also, they got permission, so whoever, whether it was a manager that they talked to or whoever, like, communication needs to happen, so that way everybody who is in the area is on board with what's going on, so that doesn't happen. Right. Which, I mean, you know, communication and Disney, even with synergy, is a problem, so that's not surprising to me that there's communication issues between cast members too. But yeah, that was sad that happened to that
Brandy
couple.
in chat said she had a harder time dealing with this white-on-white outfit the guy decided to wear for this special occasion. So, you know, I don't know. I mean, you know,
foreshadowing.
Is a Hanes T-shirt the thing you decide to wear when you're going to, like, you know, ask this woman to you know, join you forever? I don't know.
Does she say yes within that outfit?
Yeah, no, that speaks volumes, Rob. You're right, absolutely. That's really the champion of this story, is that happened. So anyway, we had a couple other topics to talk about here. We'll probably just move that to our post show. Thank you guys for joining us tonight. We're already running a little bit late, but you know, we definitely had a lot to cover with having missed last week. We'll definitely be here next week with more news. I just want to say that, you know, if you are a WIGS member, we have a post show. We love our WIGS. If you want to learn more about the WDWNT Interglobe Society, you can go to patreon.com/ WDWNT. You can also support everyone on the WDWNT staff by going to Carousel Products and checking out some of the stuff we have. We have a look. Oh, I'm sorry. Let's focus in on Emma's shirt.
Hello.
She's got the Sunday Eclipse
My
shirt. Yep.
Yes.
We also have a Space Angel shirt. That's a cool one. But also we have this celebrating 5 years of Pandora.
I have the pin too over here.
So, now you see you're flexing there too, huh?
Yeah.
It's a very cool pin. I mean, I'm very excited about this one. It's only $8. It's on carouselproducts.com, and it's a limited run. So, hopefully you'll shoot over and find something there you like. We're almost out of the sci-fi dining shirts that we had, the button down. So, yeah, check it out, carouselproducts.com. And then I just again want to thank everybody for being here on the panel tonight. It's always a lot of fun to talk to you guys about Disney news and kind of get to the bottom of things and just really share it with everybody out there too. So thank you guys for being here. We will, if you are a Wigs member, we will see you in the post show. If not, please tune in next Sunday night at 8 p.m. for more ParksCenter, and also join us on Unplanned Downtime for Disney Entertainment News today, and also for Deep in the Plus this week. We're going to do a watch along with Miss Marvel on Wednesday night, so join us at 9 p.m. Eastern for that as well. Thank you guys. Have a great one.
Have a great weekend. Have a great week.